call me Salvo's middle finger.
Cool metal. Cool metal.
Let's go find
All
them
right.
all.
Hey guys, so I'm gonna talk about the first time I ever smoked weed and got high. I mean, not per se I got high. Actually, the first time I inhaled weed was when I actually got high. But I'm gonna first talk about when I actually first smoked weed, because I actually didn't do it right. So there was one time, I'm gonna call him my boy because of complications and shit in society and whatever and a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, but so yeah, I ended up being at this guy's house and my boys. I'm gonna call the guy who brings the weed the guy, and then my boy who's the person whose house I'm at. So I'm at my boy's house, and he ends up asking me if I wanted to smoke weed. And me being curious 16-year-old, because I was 16-year-old back in the day, I was like, yeah, why not? So what ends up happening is I'm like, yeah, so I say yeah, obviously. I'm a little freaked out though, because back in this was 2012, weed was considered a narcotic. Like nowadays it's more recreational and the laws are less strict, but back in 2012, it was kind of fucking illegal to actually have that shit. You'd actually be, I don't know, you get a felony charge for it. So he ends up, the guy brings up the weed, and when he brings it, I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, that looks, I never seen weed before. I've seen it online, but it was mostly one of those leafy pictures. I never actually seen bud. So he has it on the table and he's rolling it up in this cigarillo, which was, by the way, back in the day, we didn't have those foil pouches with 2 blunts in them. You see nowadays, it's more common to have 2 blunts, maybe even 3, because I like blunt bills. But back in the day, you actually had to buy 1 cigarillo roll for $1. And yeah, it was very costly to smoke, so it wasn't common, like I said. And he had maybe an eighth of it. And when I say an eighth, I thought it was a lot, but having an eighth of weed back in the day was like having an ounce. And I'm talking about 2012. It was like having an ounce, because the law, that's how the laws really were and stuff. So it was, it wasn't common to have a lot of weed. Maybe a few baggies. Maybe I'm gonna say, if you had 2 bags of weed, you're probably good, because you only could really, because mind you, unless you were a grown adult, I don't really think having an eighth of weed was common for you. So he ends up rolling the blunt, and we're going to the window, and when it was my turn to go and inhale it, I ended up sucking the smoke into my mouth, but I don't inhale. It's a very common thing where new smokers do. They don't inhale the weed. They don't know how to actually smoke. That was me. So I'm sucking in the smoke, having it in my mouth.
Zones out.
But I end up inhaling the weed from the blunt itself, almost like a second hand, and it still managed to get me sort of high. So it was, it could be my first time, but it wasn't actually my first time I actually experienced the full effects. You know what I mean? Fully inhaling it, having it go to your lungs, because it was mostly to your, so yeah. What ended up happening afterwards is I still felt high, but I didn't, I thought, okay, this was a pleasant experience. It didn't feel crazy. I didn't think none of it. It was more so like a Delta 8 high, where it's just you take maybe a full of it, because it was maybe that faint. So yeah, I still felt something, and so we ended up going to McDonald's afterwards and going back, and I was like, wow, that was good, man. I was kind of, you know, I was like, oh shit, I feel like a rebel, you know, 16-year-old smoking weed. And but the time came when I went home after that. This was I don't know, but I went home and I look up a Reddit post or somewhere on the internet where I was like, first time smoking weed experience. I ended up finding out that I actually did not. Somebody, well, I saw it had to be a Reddit post because I saw it on it may be a forum or some shit. A forum. I ended up finding out I didn't inhale the actual weed itself. Because somebody asked, did you inhale? And I'm like, what does that mean? Like I had it in my mouth. Then they said you had to suck it in through your teeth or whatever. And I'm like, well, that makes no sense because I had it in my mouth, and you know, I was like kind of like thinking it was bullshit what they were saying. Because actually, you know, I got high still, so I mean, I thought I did the right thing. But then I'm just realizing that, I think I inhaled it through my nose or something, because I felt my nose was like burning a little bit. It felt like it was irritated or some shit. So I'm like, oh, so I was kind of actually glad because I was actually still, you know, I was still kind of afraid to try out the experience of being high, or I don't even know if it was high, just the experience of smoking, because I was 16 years old. Like I said, you know, I didn't want to be caught doing shit like that. So we end up I fast forward to like the first time I actually inhaled. This would probably say a month later. The same guy comes over and he's like, do you guys want to smoke dust or some shit? I don't know how he actually specified that we're gonna smoke dust. Now for anybody who doesn't know what dust is, it's angel dust or PCP, and that's literally the worst fucking drug to ever try to get high on, because it just leaves you feeling like shit. Like you don't even want to fucking be alive on that shit. Like that shit makes me just want to fucking kill yourself. It just makes you want to fucking commit all types of homicides, honestly. So yeah, we're over here, like, you know, he's offering me, hey, you want to smoke some dust? And I'm like, I didn't know what the fuck it was. I thought it was another name for weed. So I end up agreeing, of course. We end up going to the store, and this store on my block, by the way, sold expired products. They're not there anymore, but you know, it was like a childhood store for me, because I used to go there all the time and get a whole bunch of stuff for like $1. Nowadays you can't do that. Chips nowadays be like 50 cents, so you can possibly get two. Back in the day, you could get like 4 bags of chips for $1. Everything was 25 cents. You could walk out with a whole bunch of shit for like $1. So we end up going to the store, and this other guy, his friend's other guy, right, goes in. Some guy comes out, brings up a baggie, right, and a blunt, and we end up going to this park near my block, well, near my house on the block, for that matter. And he rolls the blunt, you know, and he lights it. When it came to my turn to smoke, I was like, oh, I gotta remember, I gotta inhale this. So because of that, I'm like, well, yeah, let me inhale it. So I end up inhaling it. Yeah, I took maybe a couple pulls and then I inhaled both. And you know, yeah, of course, you know, at first I thought it was like, okay, I don't feel nothing. What's going on? You know, I'm not feeling no type of, you know, weed. I'm not feeling no type of high. I'm not feeling no difference from when I first inhaled it through my nose or whatever. So I thought it was bullshit, you know? I thought it was like, wow, let me do it right. But, you know, after like a couple more pulls, I was like, you know what, maybe I gotta do it right. Maybe I gotta inhale more. Maybe, you know, I just did that. So came time to take more pulls. We ended up doing that. I inhaled more. I inhaled like maybe I end up coughing, by the way. I think I don't remember how much I coughed, but I did cough. Maybe the second time around. So yeah, I end up coughing or whatever.
They got that
Can't remember how many times, but I did. And then came time where, you know, it was over with. I don't know how many pulls I took, but it was a decent amount for me to get high as a 16-year-old. I didn't do much. So when we end up leaving the park, which by the way, I was very afraid to do because this is near my house and I didn't feel like doing so. We did it in the back of our park, thankfully, because they were understanding. Like, oh yeah, this is near block. I don't want you guys to get in trouble. We were like, you know, we're two like 16-year-old, 17-year-old kids, and our parents are very highly against drugs. And I mean, any parent, as any parent should be. I didn't want to get in trouble, so yeah, we end up leaving the park, and I start walking, I guess, toward my boy's house, and I still don't feel shit. I mean, I do remember feeling like a little lightheaded and shit, but nothing too crazy until I started walking near the store. And that's when I was like, I started feeling like out of conscious. Like I started feeling like everything was like spinning. Like I just felt like, yeah, I was thinking of how you know, how because I read also how like we get to feeling and shit. And I was thinking of that in mind when I did all that. So I'm like, okay, I'm walking. But I felt like it was just like, I don't know. It was a pleasant experience at first. It was like I felt high and I felt like, you know, maybe I was like, yeah, I'm kind of feeling okay right now. You know, I feel high, but you know, because I did feel it before, but I now I felt it hard. But that was just the first thing. I want to talk about the experience after I kept walking. So we kept walking, we keep walking. As I'm crossing the street, this laced weed, it just keeps growing on me and making me more and more anxious and paranoid about myself. So I'm just like, whoa, hold on. I'm just like, dude, what the fuck am I on right now? I mean, I didn't think that. I just thought that my heart started racing. My eyes were starting to get red. I was like, what the fuck am I on right now? Am I gonna fucking die or some shit? Like, is this what it feels like to like see the light or some shit? So I'm there walking to my boy's house, and we end up going upstairs. I almost fucking tripped because of how fucking high I was off the fucking. I felt like at first the fucking weed, the THC was kind of fucking building up, and then the PCP. That's when it was kind of counteracting the fuck. So I start feeling like anxious as shit. My heart's racing.
Took his own.
Got your new rating.
Like I'm over here feeling like I'm gonna fucking die. So we go into his living room. I sit down. I do not feel good. I do not feel good. I'm not having a good time. I'm thinking of a whole bunch of horrible shit. Like I'm not even in the world, honestly. Like I felt like my consciousness left the earth. And I told Chris like, dude, I don't feel good or whatever. He knows this is me. So he's like, dude, just go in my room. And yeah, I go to his room. I end up going to his room. His uncle's there though. He's playing Black Ops Zombies or Zombies Arcade or whatever. And I'm just there, right? And I'm just like still paranoid, heart beating fast. I can't think straight. I'm looking at him play that. And I'm like, dude, this is freaking me out anymore. I'm about to go back to the living room. I'm about to just relax. So I go back, and you know, all the guys are there and shit, and I'm just like, there's paranoid as fuck about why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, and if this is gonna, you know, fuck me up, am I gonna fucking die? Chris is like, dude, you're just high as fuck, relax and shit. I'm like, I can't relax right now. It's like physically hard for me to think straight right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is, but I just don't feel high. I don't. And I mean, after like I'm gonna say after like maybe 30 minutes of me feeling like shit, I finally come down off of the PCP. The PCP, it was kind of a dud. It was just lace, you know. It wasn't too much, maybe. It was probably like a little bit of it on it, but it's still enough to make me feel like shit, like I said. So the THC comes back in, and I start to feel, you know, okay, I'm good now. I'm still paranoid about what the fuck I just experienced. So I'm like, you know, I'm there chilling. He brings over some snacks and shit, and the guy's friend asked, was that the first time y'all smoked dust? And I'm like, no, I've done this before, because I didn't know what he was talking about. I thought he was talking about. I'm gonna play another video. By the way, this was not my gameplay. This is no copyrighted gameplay, because my Apex Legends is still downloading and it just is not finished, and I need to, you know, use this guy's gameplay so I don't get copyrighted and shit. So yeah, bear with me. By the way, I wanted to see the new Legend.
Tonight we tried bold new dinner salads. Tonight we
back to the store. Why the fuck is my YouTube premium? Alright, ignore this real quick. Ignore this. And I'm gonna go back to the video. So I end up telling him, yeah, this is not my first time, and he's like, it's not. I'm like, yeah. And I was kind of like surprised why he said that, you know, at first. Until, again, I got home, did my research, and I realized that I did not smoke weed, I smoked dust. So I'm like, I looked up what the fuck dust was. I was like, what the fuck, PCP, what the fuck? What is that? Is that some like strain of weed? Because by the way, I knew what strains of weed were, sorta. Like I looked up, like, I didn't know like specific names, but I knew like sativa and what indica were, and that was about it. I thought it was like, okay, was that indica or some shit? But no, it was straight PCP. So I'm like, wow. So I smoked PCP, and that made me feel like shit. I thought if that guy did not say dust, I would have thought it was weed, and I would have never ever smoked weed ever again because of that. So the fact that he said that, it kind of made me, you know, relieved that wasn't actually what weed was, because that was some fucked up shit. No, it wasn't a great experience. Now, future-wise, I did still feel paranoid from weed, but I did not feel like I was going to completely just murder myself. Like that's what fuck I was on, PCP. Never again tried that shit. That's what I thought.
There's a clueless bogey out there.
You know? It was kind of a fucked up experience. It really was. That's how fucked up it was. I feel like I just want. I feel like ending my life on that shit. So, that's really the basis of what happened. If that guy didn't tell me that was dust, I would have thought that was weed, and I wouldn't have tried weed again. But I mean, being that, you know, they had to clarify what the fuck it was on, because he looked like he was into it. And for anybody that is, please seek help, because that shit is not experience. That's not a pleasant experience. You gotta be an insane person to think that PCP high is pleasant. If you either had to be a fiend enough to realize, okay, this shit's good. This shit is good. It has, not even if it was the only drug in the world, I would never ever decide to do that shit. Like I'd stay sober than try that bullshit ever. You know? But yeah, that was my first time inhaling. It's obviously not the best way to be introduced to smoking. I'm glad I was able to actually inhale it and actually, you know, well, inhale it through my nose for that matter. But yeah, inhaling PCP, not a good thing. Please don't ever do that shit. It's not good for you. It's not good for your mental health. If you have, you know, mental disorders like anxiety and all that shit, you best steer clear away from this bullshit, because you're gonna feel like it's gonna induce that shit even more, and you're not gonna feel like ever fucking living, and you're gonna probably kill somebody if you possibly get the chance to, you know. I mean, that's what alcohol does. But at least with alcohol, you know, you're in control. Sort of. PCP, it feels like you're on. It feels like alcohol, schizophrenia, and perks all at once. I'm gonna say it like that. That's my experience with PCP. It just made you not be clear of what the fuck you're doing. Like you could murder your own family and be completely fine with it. That's how crazy that shit. Like I looked up stories, by the way, and future references. Not during that time, but I'm just telling you how it is. Don't stay away from PCP. And if somebody asks you for weed or to lace it and shit, so do not smoke. Do not smoke regular weed. You don't need to lace it. And if your shit is trash, just smoke it anyways. Drink some alcohol, you know, mix it up, take an edible. Weed is more recreational than ever. The laws are less stricter, so you really have no point of ever trying it. You know what I mean? Just don't try it. Anyways, that's gonna be it. I'm gonna catch you guys later.
Charge it.